Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hello.
Fantastic.
Okay, so this was definitely an interesting movie, I have to say. The Violent Heart, especially around Valentine's, but I saw it the day after Valentine's. And I have to say it was actually pretty good, very interesting, had me intrigued. It definitely had me interested all the way to the end. Now, as far as for the character of Daniel, Daniel has so many layers, and I just wanted to go into the fact of when you're presented with the character with so many layers, basically to peel from, how do you tackle playing that character? Is there any sense of a process or something where you want to prepare specifically for that character where you want to just peel off the layers?
I think it honestly just depends on this each role. I don't prepare like in any set way for any role that I'm taking on, but this one specifically, as you said, because it has layers, you just the only thing you can do is peel it back like one layer at a time. It sounds cheesy to say, but
I know.
that's really what it
Like an
is. I
onion.
mean, you just it's annoying. You peel it one at a time, but no, you just have. I had a lot of conversations with Kerem about who he thought Daniel was, and then I would express what I felt was like the core personality or the core essence of Daniel, and we would kind of just go back and forth and try to find the best way to kind of portray all of those layers. And a lot of the time, the best way to do that is just as simply as you can. You know what I mean? You don't want to overcomplicate your performances. If you understand the character at his root, you kind of just go from there and just use instinct. So, I mean, that's what I did anyway. I don't know if that is what showcased, but I just did what I could with him. He's such an interesting character to play. So it was exciting. It was fun to do.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. Were you on the same page with the director as far as how you wanted to tackle the character, or did he have different visions of
Oh,
how
I
you
think
should
we were
play
pretty
Daniel?
kind of, we were on the same page. I think Daniel is someone who kind of holds a lot of his cards close to his chest, and he's very internal. So, Karen just wanted to make sure that because it is called the violent heart, and this character has, anger issues and just in a rough past, he's doing his best to kind of walk on the straight and narrow moving forward. And because of that, his reactions to things and like just have to be kind of understated. And I mean, again, that was something that was interesting for me to work on, and I enjoyed doing it. And me and Karen kind of really had a really concise and clear vision on who Daniel was. So I just did my best to try to stay on par with that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Um, you also had a big first film that I actually me and my mom saw you in, which was Fences
Oh yes.
into Washington. Now that is, I mean, we can all agree on that's pretty a big accomplishment, especially as an actor coming about. You want to set your foot and your tone in Hollywood.
Right.
Now you did this character and you've played different characters along the way. Is there anything that you would like to play that you haven't been offered yet as a role?
Hmm. I feel like I want to do like animation, like a voiceover.
Really?
Right? Grace, doesn't that seem like that'd be a lot of fun, like
I'm so
like a
into
Pixar
that.
movie or something?
Yeah, like a weird voice.
Yeah. Like I'm a huge Family Guy fan, so I would love to like do something like that. I know
Very
I should have said like I want to play
okay.
like Malcolm X or something. I'm like, nah, I'm trying to go to do Family Guy. You know what I mean? Do a comedy or something.
If they hear you say animated, they'll think of like the Marvel characters in that sense, in the animated sense, like for the comic book world. With so
Yeah.
many fans coming apart from that, I know so many people will be like, oh, how about Marvel or something like that. But hey, I mean, Family Guy could work also.
I mean, I think like everybody's kind of doing the comic book stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, technically, I did that in Watchmen. I mean, it's very different from the Marvel world, but I kind of feel like everyone's doing it, and I've always been the person to try to march, to what is the saying, Grace? March to the beat of your own drum or something like that.
That's what it is.
Don't ask me about
Yeah, like
I
you know what I'm saying?
make up my own. So.
Yeah. I mean, they're great. They're great movies. They're
Yeah.
awesome. I go to them, but that wasn't like on my list of like, yeah, that's what I want to do next. I mean, if it happens, cool. But I'm trying to, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Y'all ignore me.
Okay. I love the honesty. I love the honesty. Now for the role of Casey, it was completely opposite from Daniel.
Yeah.
And, and you're a New York native. You're an alumni from LaGuardia High School.
Yes.
Pretty cool. I remember I had friends like from middle school that they were like auditioning when we were all had to like pick our high schools.
Right.
And, yeah. And so you graduated from that. That's pretty cool and everything. And so How was it like tackling the role of Casey for this film, since it was actually completely opposite from Daniel? But I also kind of felt that it was a nice balance between you both in the film. So how
Yeah.
was that?
I mean, I loved the contrast of that. I thought that was so unique already, but I also thought that, you know, they served as this beautiful escape for one another. And also what was interesting about this movie is that in most romances you see, you know, the couple meets and their lives kind of get better right away. But in this case, it was the opposite. I mean, they get together and life comes tumbling down on them hard. So, but they still, you know, they have each other, and that's what the heart of the movie is. But I loved playing Cassie. I mean, I was really drawn to her innocence and her, you know, super naive but mature, and her crave for adventure and excitement, and also what you see is what you get. I mean, she wears her heart on her sleeve, and she can't hide her emotions for the life of her, and she's just all external. And like Jovan said, you know, Daniel was so internal, so it was like this clash of some, you know, opposites attract. So yeah, I really was drawn to that aspect of it.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Now, I know you also had your experience in theater, where you, I believe, appeared opposite of Glenn Close, where you played Joan of Arc. I believe it was the mother of the maid.
Yeah.
Now, that was actually pretty impressive and totally different from working in film, because I have friends who are actors and they're like, theater is completely different. But now with COVID happening, do you miss the theater? Is that something that would you love to jump back into? Or now with, I know in the age of COVID, Broadway is kind of shut down, in-person plays are shut down. You don't really have that anymore right now in New York, which is unfortunate. Is that something that you're craving and you're missing, or do you want to really stick to film right now?
I do miss it. I do really miss it. I mean, it's something that terrifies me so much, but is also the most fulfilling thing I've ever done, and challenging, and the most disciplined I've ever been while doing it. So I really do love doing it, and I really hope that it comes back soon, because it is a different feeling. I mean, you're still acting, but
yeah,
for something that, you know, doing the same thing every night for however long you think can get monotonous and kind of stagnant, but it's so different every night. And I didn't realize that until I did it, and it just makes it open for something new every time. And that's that excitement and that thrill of what's it going to be this time. I do miss that a lot.
Yeah.
So.
And like the in-person experience with the audience is like unlike any other. It's totally different from film.
Oh my God. Yeah. They make the
like the audience.
Yeah. It's great. The live feedback, like while you're, I mean, it can be the best feeling in the world, and it can be the absolute worst feeling when you feel like they're not enjoying it, or, you know, so it's very up and down, but I love it.
Well, that's great. I mean, I hope soon you could jump back into the theater world. Absolutely. I mean, I'm dying to see a show. So hopefully after COVID, hopefully we'll be able to enjoy that. Now, with the age of COVID and the pandemic, as actors in film right now, are you noticing any major differences? Like, what are things that you missed from the set before, pre-COVID, that now maybe you're not enjoying right now? Is there anything that you missed that you wish could go back to the same, or are you enjoying certain things now in the age of COVID?
I mean, I know Jovan's working right now. I work too, and it was weird. It was really weird, and it feels a little bit disconnected, especially. I mean, one of my favorite parts of being on a set is the community of it, and being able to connect and interact, and it didn't really feel like we had that. It's like so much of it is creating this little family, and it's just a little bit harder to do, but it's a different monster to tackle.
Yeah, I was gonna say it feels a lot more isolated now. I mean, I don't know if you guys like feel that way on set, but I could definitely tell that things are just like a lot more isolated. Everybody's basically to themselves and getting tested. It's just not that togetherness anymore. And that's why like I just wanted to ask, like, is there anything that you crave and you miss? But I totally get it. And as far as that, for Jovan, I know before you wanted to be an actor, you were interested in being a screenwriter, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
And well, it's basically the same world of being an actor. And I was just interested, is that something that you would love to dive back into, or at least dive into, because you never actually really started in that?
I mean, I did. I had scripts that I wrote before I actually moved to California. So
Really?
it's,
Okay.
I feel like writing, our industry is so interesting because I feel like that whole writing, acting, directing is all like in the same, the same
Bubble.
outlet. Yeah, it's in the same bubble. So it's like, I never really said, okay, today I'm going to stop writing and now it's just acting. I'm done with this. You know what I mean? It's something that's always going to be a part of you. And even as an actor, Grace, I know you agree as well. When you're building a character, there's a lot of writing that goes into it. If you get journal and you're trying to break down the scene or the character and whatnot, there's always writing that's involved in it. So I think, yeah, it depends. If there's a story that I feel like I want to write and I want to tell, then sure, I'll definitely jump back into it. But I think it's never really left. I haven't stopped writing, so it's not really something that I'm going to go back to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Now, with those scripts that you said that you've written before you moved to Cali, or even if you have continued writing, is there any of those scripts that you would like to bring to life and into a movie?
Not yet, because they're all terrible.
You think so?
They're all terrible. They need work. This was like fresh out of college.
Because it's always those films that you think that's like, oh no, it's not going to go anywhere, and they end up being like major hits.
I mean, maybe like if we start from square one and rewrite it or something. This was fresh out of college. I thought I was Aaron Sorkin, and I was like, yo, I'm clearly gonna just like move to LA, get it, write this script. It's gonna get made in like 2 years. Like I was living that entourage mindset. You know what I mean? Like everything was gonna happen and work out for me in like a year. So maybe one day, but
one day
I got to revisit them first, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Gotta blow the dust off.
Yeah,
exactly.
I forgot.
Well, thank you so much, guys. It was such a pleasure talking to you. I wish you the best of luck. I mean, I wish you the best of luck in your screenwriting. I hope I do see it. We come into like a film. Hey, you never know. I'm always like pushing people. You just never know. Never second guess yourself. You just never know.
Of course
never,
not. I would
absolutely not. And so I totally believe in you. And for Grace, I'm so proud of you. I hope you get back into the theater. I'm from New York. I'm a New York native. So really, one of these days I could see you on the stage. That will be nice after COVID.
That'd be really nice. I hope so too.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Good luck.
And stay safe.
Yes.
Likewise to everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Bye, guys. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, considering everything that we're going through right now. Welcome to the Nocturnal. My name is Ali Garcia.
It's good to be here.
Yes, thank you. So I did have a few questions regarding the film. It definitely had me intrigued of what I was telling Grace and Jovan from earlier. And I have to say, The Violent Heart, from what I was telling them, they were like, I know, what a title for around Valentine's Day. But it definitely was very intriguing, to say the least. And I just wanted to know, for The Violent Heart, just to start off from that title alone, how did the title come to be?
I guess I had written something before that movie, and it was about two people having a romance. And just for this one, I mean, the plot of it and what happens to this young man, when he's a boy, I felt like, there's a lot of sides to love, right? So there's a lot of, it's not just all like roses and daisies, and that there's a part of it that's, that has a darkness to it. And so the fact that the whole movie kind of revolves around this violent event that happens to him when he's a kid, and the way that he carries that throughout the whole movie, it just felt fitting.
From your previous films, each of the narratives are very different, but there's a bit of romance in each film. From, I would say, The First Girl I Loved, more LGBTQ, a romance. And then you have the next one, the young, and correct me if I'm wrong, the young Kozlowski. Is that right. How you say the last? I had it right?
That's
okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. And college student gets pregnant, but also there's a romance there. And even though with The Violent Heart, people can hear this just alone by the title and may not expect a romance brewing. And so for my question is that what inspires you for each of these films? Because each of the narratives are very different in its own way. Or have there been previous films that have inspired you and you made your own version of the films for the current generations right now?
Well, I would have to say that this one, compared to the other two, is definitely a departure, and also a film that I didn't expect to make, really, or that would come from me, because I think typically my styles or my disposition is not so dark, I guess. This movie kind of came from the mechanics and the fate, the twists of fate, and the that happened within the plot. It was more like, as opposed to the other two, it was more like a storybook kind of a story that I had envisioned, and that for the longest time I didn't think was really filmable. Really, or I didn't feel like it was a movie that, or at least that I could make. And then the inspiration to make it came from going to a revival house theater and seeing some just a handful of movies that were like very old, or like 40s and 50s movies that were very brightly lit and shot in Technicolor, but that had super melodramatic components to them and were just big. And so I saw these movies and I thought, oh, maybe this is the way to do it. You just do a really big, brightly lit, a colorful, lush, and really lean into the melodrama of it all, instead of trying to find some way to kind of make it more, real.
Yeah.
So this is my entry into the the 50s melodrama, where I've told somebody else where in the trailers you would have somebody say, sort of announce like all the things that are in the film: romance, intrigue, murder. So this was my updated version of that kind of a movie.
And you did a good job. I have to say, you did a good job. I did like the movie. It had me guessing throughout. It was just sort of a mystery at the same time, like where you're trying to put the missing puzzles, the pieces together. And then at the end, it's just like, whoa, it's like this big explosion at the end where everything comes together. And that actually leads me to my next question of, with The Violent Heart, such a strong title, very mysterious, thriller-like, but there's also a sense of romance in the middle. How do you want the viewers to feel after watching this movie? Do you want them to take away anything from the film when they're done watching it?
Well, that's always a tricky question. I mean, I think what I like is when a movie just leaves me, I've gotten off the ride of the movie. So I think above all, I would like people to feel as if they were swept away in a story. Mm-hmm. And then there's all sorts of I suppose lessons or allegorical implications that they might read into it, and I hope that they do, and that they find something meaningful in it for them. But in terms of morals or lessons and stuff like that, I mean, I think they're all pretty. I think the true morality is like pretty obvious. Violence is bad. Understanding and communication is good, mm-hmm. And I don't think anyone really needs a movie to learn that. But what my hope is that they'll experience this extraordinary, intense ride, and that it might. The notes are so high and so loud that maybe there's some small thing within their own life that they'll bring to it. But who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Anybody could take away anything they want, depending on the connection that they have with the film.
So for me, the movie is in itself. It's the closed system. It's like mm-hmm. it's its own explanation, and then so long as it's not tedious and boring, I think then I'll feel fulfilled.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, from watching it, it definitely wasn't boring. So you did your job on that. It definitely wasn't. I love mystery and I love thrillers. And so if anything hooks me from the beginning, I'm in it all the way. And I feel maybe a lot of viewers can probably agree with that as well. Now, with the age of COVID, from what I was speaking previously with Grace and Jovan, I know for actors, filming right now on set is completely different with the
Mhm.
pandemic and all. And as a writer and as a director, has anything particularly changed for you? Has things maybe tapered down for you, or are you taking this time being at home writing and creating new material?
Well, in terms of the life cycle of my own career, exactly the second thing. I mean, we finished this movie and everything before all of that started, and so it just so happened to uh, hit me at a time when this is the in between time when it's like, okay, I finished a movie, and so now what am I going to do next? And it's it didn't really affect this movie, luckily.
Luckily, which
Yeah.
thank God. Do you think that are you now in the process of writing for your next film with, everybody being at home? I know a lot of people now are just like tapering down and they're focusing on whatever their goals and their passions are at the moment, or finding new passions or having new goals. Is that something for you that you feel that now is the pandemic even like inspiring you for your next film?
I don't think the pandemic is very inspiring. I think it's you know, it's it's such a greater. There's so much more going on than what am
Mhm.
I going to think of for my next movie.
Yeah.
But in terms of have I brewed other interests? I suppose I've become a little more aware of my own surroundings and thought like, oh, I have this art photograph that I bought a year ago, and it's still just sitting in the paper. Maybe I'll buy a frame and put it
Yeah.
up. So that sort of thing. At least lately. I mean, the first few months I was like everybody else, but now I think now I'm just trying to you know make a cozy home, I guess.
I could agree with that. I just bought a frame too that I've been having to buy for a long time, and I just bought it Friday from Michael's. And I just feel like everything in the house now is just coming together. So I could definitely agree with you on that. But thank you so much for the interview. Your film was a pleasure to see, and I wish you the best of luck with everything with COVID and the pandemic. And hopefully that sparks something within you, and hopefully we can see a next film of yours soon.
Oh, thank you so much. It was really great being here.
Yes,
Nice
thank
to meet
you.
you too.
Bye.